Hello, this is a video showing you how to create a base map using a program called QGIS, which is an application similar to ArcMap. Alright, so let's get started. So the first thing you need to do is download QGIS. The benefit of using QGIS over ArcMap is that QGIS is free. So you could support them and give them maybe $1, because it's definitely worth a lot more than that. Download the software. It'll run you through some prompts, and it'll give you ultimately you'll end up with a desktop folder full of different shortcuts for it. The version that I'm using is the 2.18.16 with Grass 7.2.2. So I'm just going to open that up so we can look at it real quick. And the biggest thing about using any GIS piece of software, Geographic Information System software, is data acquisition and data accuracy and having your coordinate systems jive and all that stuff. So you'll see when you open up the software, you can have tips. You can turn that on and off. I like looking at them though. It gives you a list of your recent projects, which is cool. You can see the things you've been working on. This is very similar to the ArcMap panel. It also looks very similar to Photoshop and AutoCAD, really AutoCAD, but and the way the layers function, the layer panel functions very similar to Photoshop. All right, so we'll kind of play with this stuff, and I'm learning the software myself now. So there's tons of tutorial videos that you can find online, and under like documentation. So I would highly recommend going through. I'm going through them now myself, but I know enough now within a few days to be able to generate this map and express this in a video. But definitely go through that information. First thing I'm going to do is just create a new project. Okay, and now the project is waiting for data. So that's the next big thing. So where do you get information from? Well, most municipalities now have GIS divisions or a planning department that has GIS information. So the site that I'm doing is a farm in Chatham County. So I'm with the Chatham County's GIS and had to do a little bit of digging and found a FTP site, which is basically a library containing all of their files that we can use in the software. They're called shape files typically. So I downloaded all the information that I needed, and I'll just kind of give an example here. For instance, so I would click on hydrography. So I would click on this, and so I would click on like planning. And this with the subdivision zone, I had to do a little bit of digging, and this was a little bit of pain. But no, where's a good one? It's tax mapping and parcels. So I'm going to go into metadata, and that was not it either. Okay, so then you see these zips here, and I'm gonna, I think this is right, yeah. I'm gonna click on this one with the tax, and it's gonna download a zip file that should have all the shapefile information inside of it. Is that right? The DTM, go to elevation. And this is nice. In this instance, this municipality breaks up the contours and elevations so you know what you're getting, so I can actually see it, which is great. So I'm going to download the just a 10-foot contour so it's not so big. All right, parcels. And this is just kind of to demonstrate. So basically you would download all the information that you're looking for. So if you needed your buildings, you would find building information, just kind of digging through this. Now these repositories or libraries some are better than others. Let me just express this to you what that means. So I'm gonna go to Guilford County's data. So more nicely organized where it's like obvious where these things are. So different municipalities have different repositories, but the information that information still works. It's just how you access it could be might look a little bit different. So anyway, download information that you need from here. You can do assessments with this. This is not what this video is about, but there's a lot of information that you can download. Some of it not being immediately visual, like demographics that can be turned into visuals and displayed on a map, but that's not what this video is about. So I'll download the information that I need, and I'm gonna go into my downloads, and just for the sake of showing you, I'm gonna extract all. I'm just gonna extract it here. And when I double click on that, you see all this different information that's inside that folder. Now I'm gonna pull these things side by side. I'm just gonna highlight this information, and I'm gonna just dump it in to QGIS. All of it wasn't appropriate, so I'm just gonna close it all, or it couldn't read. Apparently there's some duplication in that too, so I've been noticing that. So I'll kill 2 of these. So I'm just left with, I'm gonna right click and just remove. So I'm left with all of the contours in the entire Chatham County. So just like that, you have all the contours. Now you can check the interval by select feature. I can click on the feature, and a dialog box should appear. No, oh, there it goes. Wrong icon. There you go. I'm gonna click on this feature, and it'll tell me hopefully the elevation. So 285, 275. So it's a 10-foot interval, so we can kind of see it in that way. Additionally, you can right click and go to properties and go to labels and say show labels. I know that the labels on this are just there's only one category, so Z feet, and apply, and then all the label tags will appear on this as well. Those won't export into CAD, but you can print a map out or use this as a reference in order to figure out what's going on in CAD, and if you had to, the painstaking task of attributing elevations, because that's one thing that I haven't been able to do yet easily is bring over the contour elevation heights into CAD as a DXF. So if you can figure that out, that'd be awesome. Let us know. So yeah, that's that. And now the problem with this right now, not really problem, but what's going on with this right now is that it also is the entire county, when obviously we're going to focus on a specific area more than likely, especially for the scale that we're doing in this particular project. So what you would do for that, you need to import, know where you are and just zoom in, or the easier way is to import address points. And this is where I'll go to the folder that I've already kind of put this stuff in. And the address that I'm doing is 149 Johnson Road. So I'm going to come over here and, well, actually, let me go to Chatham County. I've downloaded all the GIS information already. Let me just do it this way without having it clipped. Okay. Let me turn those contours off too. I'm also just going to double click into this building footprint, and I have all these folders that are going to pop up eventually. There they are. Okay, so I'm going to grab all this and just drag it over. The ones that won't come in. Boom. And again, there's duplication. I'm just going to delete those duplicates. Okay. And now you can see the building footprints dropped in. I can also change the color of these just so I can see it. Under styles, let me go simple fill color. Let me just make that black so I can just see. Okay, so it's kind of the beginning of a figure ground really quickly and easily. And went too far. Let me go back to Chatham County. And really super important to help us navigate quickly are these address points. I'm just going to grab the address points and drop them in and close all duplication. Now these address points are what they are, points and addresses. Remove that. Okay. But what's nice about this is, and let me go to the properties and modify this a little bit. Let me just turn up the layer transparency like a lot. Okay. Now what's cool about this is that if I go to the the fields have all this information that's attached to these points, right? Cancel, hold on. Let me open the attributes table rather. Okay, there we go. That's what I was looking for. So the attributes table, you have all this information that's attached to these points, specifically address, which is key, and street name. We're looking for the address here. So this will allow me then to query to a point a specific area in this whole town, so I don't have to like scroll around aimlessly and try to find where I'm going. If it's small, that's maybe not that bad, and really honestly it's not that bad in Chatham County to the area. But if it's big, and either way, it's still better to be fast and efficient. So what I'm going to do is then from here, I'm going to select and filter. Whoops. I'm going to, select and filter, and then I want to go to address, and I want to put in 149, and I'm going to put in a J. And I have it as contains, and then I'm just going to go to filter features. Come over here, and then you see 149 Johnson Farm Road, right? So then I'm going to right click here and then say zoom to feature, and then you see immediately you zoom to the area that you were looking at. Now I don't have the an aerial up yet. And let me go ahead and solve that problem so we can kind of see what we're looking at. So to get an aerial, you need to download a plugin, and you go here and manage plugins, and a window will pop up, and you want to type in open layers, and you'll see it here. It's already installed. You'd click on it, and then you would install it. Okay. When you want to use it, you want to go to Web, Open Layers, and I'm going to use my Bing aerials. Now this map has some restrictions. Now here's where it gets kind of Photoshop-like. You see it's on the top layer. I'm just going to drag it to the bottom, so these things are layer sensitive. The building footprints are black right now, hard to see. So let me go to their styling and just change them to white, just to make it easier to see them right now. Boom. And I know that address point, let me go back, open attributes table, boom, boom. And again, I can do the address, query, and 149 J. Filter selection back here, and then zoom to feature. Again, it's put me right here, so I know the farm, and if basically the farm is here. This, he owns all these parcels. So that's how you zoom to your feature that you want. So that's really nice. The address points are kind of key. You can also use it for the same row, but I find the address is kind of the easiest. Or if you have the parcel number, that works really well too. Boom. So that's that. Now you see that I've put in this arrow, which is quite nice right now, because I can zoom in at different elevations and it responds to me, which is really, really cool. The problem with using this quick tool is that it's tricky, and I say it's tricky because when I go to my map composer to kick these things out as base maps or just maps, diagrams, it does not save the, basically, let me show you what I'm talking about. So I have this, and there's a workaround, like most things in life, but well, let me add the information to it. Well, let's finish the diagram. So let me go back here, not back there, let me go back to my folder. I don't need that right now. Let me go to desktop, and let me go to Chatham County, and let me go to they do hydro lines. So let me get all the hydro stuff that I have here and just pull it over and drop that in. Cool. All right. Is there parcels that I have here too? Yes, let me bring up my parcels. I have to demonstrate that as well. Okay, so I pulled in my parcels and some hydro, and that's all I'm going to use for this, just to kick out this base map. Boom. So I'm going to close all. And again, I have redundancies, so I'm just going to remove those redundancies from my model. And turn those removal. And I'm going to go to, just to make it easier to see, and it doesn't need to be that loud. And actually, I could just turn this off. Yeah. And the outline, maybe it's just white so we can kind of see. And maybe it's yeah. Maybe you can play with the width, but maybe it's like a 0.4 or something and apply. Okay. So it looks like a little better to me. I can begin to see the parcel outlines, and then this is, of course, is going to be blue. So I'm just going to double click that, and and some of these have presets, I believe, too. So I can just click on like water, apply, and I just want to reduce the transparency of this. Apply that, and then of course the the outline. Maybe that's like a blue or something. Okay. And then the hydro lines. So, oops, cancel hydro lines. And then maybe that would just be blue as well. And then maybe the pin width is like a 0.3. And there's 0.4 as well. Oops. Apply. Maybe I'll make it a little lighter so that we, oh, that's light though. Transparency's up on it, no. Color, should be good, apply. And these are layer sensitive, so I'm just gonna drag that above. Here. Let me zoom in a little bit, is that reading? Yeah, it's reading, okay. Yeah, so you can actually see it brighter. Okay, there you go. That's bright. No, it's too big. All right, what's going on? All right, let me go back here and then change this to like 0.3. Oops. And apply. All right, so I control this. All right, so I can see now. This is kind of it. And then let me go back to my parcel lines. And here, and then I'm just gonna make that outline like a 7. And then, negative transparency, doesn't need to be transparent. And then maybe it doesn't need to be 0.7. So I can begin to see. Alright, so now we can kind of see what's going on with this, and maybe that's still a little too strong. All right. One more modification. Maybe. Okay. All right. So kind of have this, and that looks good to me. Now what I can do is go to Composer. And Composer is basically your print layout. So I would go, oh, not new. Let me go Project, New Print Composer, and I'm gonna call this Test. Boom. I'm gonna go to Composition of this. I'm gonna make this. Say all these different these sizes. You can also do custom. I'm gonna do a 24 by 36 inch. Boom. Okay. And next thing I want to do is add my map. Alright, click that icon, drag my map over, boom, and you get the last image that you had on your map on your screen. Now, this is nice because it's navigable. If I click on this icon, not that icon, if I click on that icon, it allows me to zoom in on the actual, the map becomes live. So basically it's like opening the window, and it allows me to modify the scale. Subsequently, you can go back to my pan, if I just, or my selection tool, if I select this and I go to item properties, you can also set the scale to whatever you need it to be in here. Boom. Alright, and additionally you can also, where is it? There's a shortcut for it here, add new scale bar, so click the scale bar and drop it in. Make sure under item properties that it's set to feet. Alright, but instant scale bar, so that's nice. You could also add a north arrow, it's not automatic, but you can do a triangle and just kind of drag it out. Boom. There goes your north arrow, so maybe I'll bring it down just a little bit. And then item properties change, and I'm just going to click on the color and just make it black. Say okay. There, so a basic arrow, it's a little big, so I'll just make it a little bit smaller. Oh, so you know what north is as well. So a quick map that you can knock out. Now here's the problem. That's beautiful and everything, and I see the aerial and it looks decent, but when I go to kick this thing out, and then say export image, say okay, put it on my desktop, and I'm gonna call it just a JPEG. I'm gonna call it 1 and say save. Gotta go through its properties, blah 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 blah, kick this thing out ultimately. Okay, so now let's minimize this and go to that. Now you'll see what it kicked out. It's kicking out the hydro lines and the hydro polys and the buildings, but the image is gone. Weird, right? Yeah, so I got online, apparently that's a glitch that happens with this. So the only workaround for that is to go back into QGIS. Once you have the image set that you like, the zoom in, you know, to the extent that you want to see, and say it's kind of this, for instance. And we'll let it reload, and you can see it doing the same thing there. It's kind of glitching. Let's say that's decent for me. What I'm going to do is turn everything else off. Okay, turn everything else off. Let me zoom up just a little bit. Ooh, so much. Okay, so that's good. And what I'm going to do then is go project. I'm going to say save as image. I'm going to call this one just 2. And well, I haven't tried the JPEG. Let's see if the JPEG works. So I'm going to save that as 2 and say OK. Now I'm going to turn this aerial off. Now watch this. I'm going to go here and go to add raster. I'm going to go to 2. It's going to ask for a coordinate system. Using the default, I just select OK to go through, and then bam, it kicks this thing out. Now, like the thing was glitching, I have to reset it. Okay, let's try that one. This will work better. So you can see what I mean with this. Let me just delete this one, remove. Okay. I'm gonna go save as image, and I'm gonna call this one 3. And I'm gonna come down here, turn this one off. I'm gonna add raster image 3, same geo. Okay, so boom, nice image, right? This is the problem now. When I zoom in, you see how crappy the resolution gets, right? So if I wanted to do a zoomed in area, the resolution of this is just not that high. It's not that good. When I was on the Bing, as I zoom in, it refreshes and gets better to a point. There you go. Okay. So you're going to lose some resolution. However, I can use that map. So now if I'm back in my test, I can click on this and should be able to update preview, and then this new map is then projected. Okay. Now I can begin to move around this thing, but as I zoom in, you know, resolution is kind of shifted and just not as clear. Now you can get away with this for some things, you know, just know your resolution. That's a way to kind of get around this, I guess, in a way. But you see it kind of, and then also it crops it just so what you have in your image frame. So if I wanted to zoom in and out now and change it to this border size, it's kind of crappy. So that's one way to do it. Just to create in your aerial, because you're going to need to create an aerial for this. But it's kind of tricky, but if you needed to, you can do it. And let me show you another way. I'm going to go back to QGIS, and I'm going to turn that off, and I'm just going to have my Bing aerial on for right now. And really not even that. I'm actually going to turn my Bing aerial off. And what I'm going to do is use another kind of workaround. We'll go back to Google, and I'm going to go into Earth Explorer. This is earthexplorer.usgs.gov. I'll put the link in the bottom of the video. This allows me to look up for TIFF files in different areas and have really high resolution imagery, and I won't have that loss like we had before. So I'm going to type in the address 149 Johnson Farm Road, and this is New Hill. And say show, there it is, and then I'm going to say datasets. Now to do this, you also need to create a login, and it didn't log me in. So create a login, go through the process of doing this. It's well worth it. It's free. I'm going to say sign in, and it's going to bring me back, and it should have my, I'm going to go, yeah, my coordinates are still set for where I set it. Now I'm at data sets, and then what I want to look up is aerial imagery, not aerial imagery. I want, yeah, I do want aerial imagery, do I? I want high, yes, aerial imagery, and I want high resolution ortho. Okay, then I'm gonna come down here and say results. Then I'm gonna click the footprint, and it's gonna jump in. It's gonna show me on the map where these things are popping up. So if I downloaded that tile, that's how much it would give me, which is awesome. Now the problem with this is that it's not giving me the entire area. I mean, unfortunately, if I was doing something in here, it would be perfect, right? Because I can just get away with grabbing one tile. In this instance, I need multiple tiles, so this is not working for me. So what you're going to need to do when that happens is go to your search criteria. I'm just going to clear that out, and I'm going to say use map. I'm going to zoom out because it gives me this big expanse. I'm just going to drag these points up to the area that I kind of want to cover. I'm going to get all these tiles, if you will. Okay, and I'm going to say results. Now it's going to give me a whole bunch of tiles because it's doing all the tiles for the area that I've selected. So I'm going to kind of zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to start clicking on these thumbprints. Right now I'm looking for the same dates to make sure that their tiles flown on the same time, because if not, you can get differences in the way they look, and it might be taken at different times of the year and kind of these weird fluctuations. So I see all these 13s, and I'm clicking on my footprints, and you see they're lining up nicely. So not that one, not that one. I'm looking for this one. And I guess really for this, maybe those two are just fine, or maybe those three are fine right there. So in this instance, I would just do maybe those three, and then I would just click on download options, and then download. And then I'm going to download this other one too. Download. And then 3. Download. Let me see. There's another 13. It's weird. It's not getting me that next section right there, like immediately. It's like everything but that one. There you go. Then I'm gonna download that one too. It was weird. Just to make a perfect square, just to kind of be clean with it. And actually it goes beyond my area, but you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so you would download these things. Might take a little bit to download, so we'll just do one. I already have some tiles that I think propagated for this thing, so I can show you. But that's how you would download these tile pieces. So it's not the entire county, but these specific areas, which makes it smaller, easier to deal with, and you can embed these things. Let's wait till this thing goes. I made these downloaded and finished. Not yet. Not yet. So again, these things can take a little bit to download. Just gotta be patient. And once you do them, though, you have them set for the project, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. As those are downloaded, let me go ahead and just show you what it looks like to put them in QGIS. So I'm gonna go back to QGIS, and I'm going to install a raster this time, and I'm gonna go to 149 Johnson. I've already kicked some of these things out, and this is basically the file that you're gonna get when you knock these things out. So I'm gonna drag this and just drag it over into my project. It's gonna think for a while. No, it didn't. Well, because I was just adding. My bad. Did it the wrong way. No, what's going on? So let me double click on it. Actually, there. So it knocks in. So that's one section of it, right? So basically, you get these nice clean pieces. Now I can see how that jives with this, and it's kind of this perfect overlay. So I got that one section, basically, of the piece that I'm trying to do, but it's much smaller, and it doesn't drop, and it won't have those white gaps this other one has. So that's kind of how this thing is working. So I have that one panel. I would just keep on going, basically. That was 1, 2, 3, I think 4. Boom. So there, I break everything's in. So now I have this nice clear arrow that I can zoom in on that has nice clean resolution, and it's exactly what I need. When one of these things finishes, I'll show you where to find the information, because it's kind of hidden in these. But let me jump back. So now I'll go back to my test, my composer, and then boom, the update. So it's nice and clean. The benefit of this is if I want to, zoom in and out now, there's no loss in resolution. It's the full screen, so it's really nice to where I want it to be. So for this one, I'm just going to kind of zoom in. Let's say something right there. Or maybe, okay, I set it to 3,000 before though. Yeah, that's cool. For this one, I'll make it a larger map. And I'm doing this so we can embed this aerial back in AutoCAD, so we have not only the CAD work, but the aerial when we're done. selection, do something like that. Okay, so this looks pixie right now, but it'll print clean. This should automatically update for you as you scroll. So what I'm going to do now is go File, Save as Image. That's okay. And call this one 4. Let's call it 1.1 so we can compare between the 1. 300 DPI looks good to me. I'm going to kick it out. It's going to think for a second. Okay. Those have all downloaded, so let me just cancel that out. But now 1.1 is still not there. There it is. The 1.1 is right there. Perfect image, nice and clear. And now we can embed this in AutoCAD. So I would recommend just taking the extra time to download the tiles. It's just going to make for a cleaner workflow. But in a pinch, you can use that other methodology where you set the scene, cut the image out, and export it that way. All right, so boom. So we have that piece that's waiting for us. So now what I want to do is export the information that I have, and you kind of set the scale. What did I have it at, like 3,000? Okay. All right, so that looks pretty good to me. Okay. What I want to do is export this information to CAD. Now I can't kick out the imagery, but I can kick out my contours, the building footprints, hydro lines, and my parcels. Now, another thing to be aware of, when I brought in the hydro lines and parcels, they're not lines. You see how the lines are just a single line, but the polygon shapes have fills. That means, unfortunately, when you kick this thing into AutoCAD, it'll bring it in as a hatch, and I'll show you that. So the process of exporting these things to AutoCAD, there is an option to do a DXF export. It gets really glitchy though. I've done this several times now, and it gets extremely glitchy. Let me put on my, oops, contour. Yeah, that's right. That is right. I can see him. It's good enough. It doesn't matter. We can modify this anyway. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to, I'm going to show you what that means. I'm going to right click here. So this is the appropriate way to do this to make sure it lines up. It's a little bit longer, but it's the way to do it. I'm going to say Save As, and I'm going to say Extent, and then my map view extent. So it's going to help clip this. AutoCAD DXF is the format. I'm going to browse and send it to a new folder here, because I'm going to combine all these and just call it new folder for this. This is going to be parcel. I know it's going to be a hatch, so I'm going to say hatch. I'm going to say save. No symbology should be selected, automatic, boom, and say OK. So that's going to kick out. It's going to ask you for a coordinate system. I'm just going to say OK. Boom. It's going to kick that out for me. Okay. And then it added it to this layer. I really don't need that. I'm actually just going to remove that. Okay, so I'm going to turn off my parcels. And I'm going to go to my hydro line. Now, before I do that, though, let me do the hydro lines too, just to show you this. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say Save As. I'm going to browse, and I'm going to go back into that folder. And I'm going to say hydro lines, and I actually don't want to save to my map this time. Extent, same thing, map view extent, and then I'm gonna say okay. It'll kick out. Okay, now let's compare these two. Okay, let's compare these two. Let me put the other one where it's supposed to be too. All right, so now I'm going to go in here. I'm going to open up my AutoCAD. I'm going to say open. And I'm going to desktop. I'm just going to navigate. And let me open up the hydro lines and open that up. I'm gonna hit zoom extents. So now beautiful lines, it's nice. I think they're all polylines as well. Just make sure. Yep. It's nice and clean. Everything's working really neatly for us, right? The way we want it to. Now let me open up the parcels. Now when I do this, ooh. So instead of bringing over a line, it just brought everything over as a hatch. Now there is a command to generate boundary from hatch, but you can see this thing is really lagging and it becomes really, really nasty to work with, like hatches are generally in AutoCAD. It's freezing the software, so we don't want that. So I'm going to close that out and say no, I don't want to use that. So the workaround is unfortunately a few steps, but not too bad. So I'm going to go to my hydro poly, and I'm going to go to, where's the tool? Geoprocessing tools, no. Geometry tools, and I'm going to say I'm going to convert these polygons to lines, right? And I'm going to say the input layer is going to be my hydro poly, okay? And then I'm going to say run. And it's going to ask me for the coordinate system. I just say okay, typically. And you'll see that another line is generated right above it. All right, so that was the previous one. These are the lines from it. So what I want to do, I don't know if I can do a fill on this or not. Let me go to properties. Let's see. Pin width. So it's green right now, and let me make it like blue, so we can see it, make the pin width like 0.5 and apply. Nope, remove, wrong one. Okay, so let me go here and oops, hydro poly. Let me do that again. I think I did that wrong. Let's see. So vector, geometry tools, and then it's polygons to lines, and then the input layer should be my hydro poly. Let me call it new hydro poly lines, and then say run. All right, so there they are. I must have done the other one the first time. So there goes my hydro poly lines, and you can kind of see them being turned on and off now. Now I'll do the same thing I did before. I'll say save as. Blah, 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 blah. I'll browse here. I'm in my new folder, and I'm going to call this hydro poly lines. And I'm going to do that. I don't want to save it to the map. Map view extents, boom. Okay, now let me do the same thing to the parcels that we started off with. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go to, I don't think you need the polygons to lines, and this time it's just going to be parcels. And I'm just going to say parcel outlines, and then run it. Parcel outlines will pop up, and then we'll do the comparison. You'll see we'll have both, and both of them will be knocked out. All right, boom. So that's that. So that doesn't need to be there. So I'm gonna do the same thing here. So we'll call them lines and polygons. And then I'm just gonna do a save as, and I'm gonna browse, I'm going to call it parcel outlines. And then I'm going to extend map view extend. I don't want that there. Okay. All right. Let me do my buildings so I can help align this thing. So then save as. Same thing. There. I'm gonna call this buildings. Buildings. No. Yeah. All right. So let's kick all those things out, and now let's start combining these things. So I'm gonna go Control O. I have my hydro lines there, which is already right. I'm gonna go to my parcel outlines. Does it make sense? This time, it's just the outlines and not the hatch. I'm gonna do Control C. I'm gonna come back here. I'm gonna right click. I'm gonna clipboard, and I'm gonna paste the original coordinates. Now, before I do that, though, let me Control Z. Before I do that, I'm gonna create a layer. I'm gonna call this hydro lines. I'm gonna make it blue. I'm gonna create all my layers in this one. Actually, I'm gonna call this hydro poly, and I'll make another one, and I'm gonna call this one buildings. I'm gonna make this one yeller, and I'm gonna do another one. I'm gonna call this one parcels, and let me make that white. Okay. Now I'm gonna grab this and I'll put it on its appropriate layer. I'm gonna call that hydro lines. I'm gonna turn that off. Now I'm gonna right click and clipboard and paste the original coordinates. That's my parcels. I'm gonna select them immediately and just put them on the parcels layer, so I know that they're there, nice and clean. I don't need that anymore. That was my parcels. Now I'm gonna do my buildings. Zoom extents. These guys are hatches too. But the hatches are small and easier to generate, so I can run that command. But right now I'm just going to bring them over, kind of just to have them copy. And back over here, clipboard, paste original coordinates. Everything's lining up nice, cleanly. Go back home. I'm going to put these on buildings. So it's on buildings. So I'm going to say lay on, and you see as I'm doing this, everything is coming over nice and neat, and everything's connected. Now what I do is just do a save as and call this my base map. So I'm going to put this new folder. I'm just going to call it base map, which is just an example. Call it base map. Now what else don't I have? Let me open up the contours. I haven't kicked those out yet. So let me do contours, and then we'll be done. And I'll show you the problem with contours as well. So file name, it doesn't matter. And we'll call this contours and bump. Okay. Come over here, base map. I need to add a layer. I call that contours. And as I put in the interval, I know these are, I think this is a 10-foot we're using right now. And we'll just make that red just so that we can see. Control O, contours, some extents, copy, base map. I'll turn everything off right now. Put my contours back on, and then clipboard, paste original coordinates. I'll grab everything, put it on contours. Then you have layer control, and voila. Now that aerial. This is my beginning, and then my units, just to make sure everything's decimal and looks good. And let me do a DR and see how big these houses are, just to check the scale. 36 feet, so that's about right. That's a big old building. Okay, and what I'm going to do is put in my aerial. So now I'm going to create a layer and call it aerial. So it propagates to the top. I'm going to put myself on it, and I'm going to go to my, if you don't have that up, I'm going to type in IM for my image manager. It was an image I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna go to my desktop. I think it was 1.1 that we used. Oops, yep, so 1.1. What's nice about this is that it gives us a scale, so I'm gonna just SC for scale, select everything, 0, R for my reference. I'm gonna zoom in, and from right here, it looks like, to, I'm just gonna put my my ortho on. Right there to right there, it looks like 500 feet. So there's my image. So now, I'll turn back on my ortho. It's just to kind of align these things. So let me grab like this house corner. And I think that's actually that right there. I've done this a few times now, you can tell. I'm gonna just do a draw order, send it back, and I'm gonna grab it just to modify just a smidgen. So off. That's actually right there. Boom. So there goes my arrow that's aligned to my drawing now. So now when I go to my layouts, modify, black line display. Let's do DWG, PDF. And if you're doing this from scratch, yep. You now have a nice aerial to kind of reference and print out for your piece at a pretty decent resolution. All right, so that's how you create a base map with an aerial using QGIS software and AutoCAD. All right, any questions, just send me an email, let me know.